Hey, what's going on, guys? Just a little bit of everything here today. I wanted to talk about the movie Shang. So me and my wife just went and seen that a couple days ago. But the reason why I want to talk about this movie was because it is a new Marvel movie before the Eternals, which comes out in November of this year. So first and foremost, I wanted to read a brief description of the movie to kind of give you an idea. So it says, martial arts master Shang-Chi confronts the past he thought he left behind when he's drawn into the web of mysterious Ten Rings organization. So let's get into it. Got a little bit of notes here so I can kind of read off of them. So Shang, he ends up leaving his dad is the leader of the Ten Rings, and his dad he's the Mandarin. So he's the guy with the rings that you see on the trailers and things like that. And then so Shang ends up leaving whenever, I believe he's 14 years old. His dad sends him on an assassin mission because his mom ends up getting assassinated, and his dad trained him to be an assassin, and his sister, he trained both of them to be assassins. So he ends up leaving whenever he's 14, ends up going to the United States, and then he's there for 6 years, and he has changed his name to Sean, and he has a best friend named Katie. And that's how the movie starts. It doesn't show like any of the things that he went through until like later on in the movie, but that's kind of like his backstory. So he was a trained assassin, and then he got away from it because he was, wanted to get away from his dad, because his dad was the most powerful man that there was at the time. So with that, while he's living in San Francisco, California, is where he's living. And he is a valet driver. That's what he does. He parks cars. So, and he was just wanting to do something different. So he's sitting on the bus, and what his dad's looking for at this point, they have these jewels, and he wants to connect them to this little dragon structure. He puts 2 eyes on the dragon structure, and he's trying to find a gateway to go save his mom. But that's, like I said, farther into the movie. But so him and Katie are on a bus, and one of the guys, his name's Razor something. I don't remember exactly what his name is, but he comes out. He has a giant missing hand, but it comes out with a blade, which was really cool in the movie. And he's like, I need that, medallion, pretty much. And Sean's like, you're pretty much not going to get that. So Sean, this is the beginning of the movie, and Sean just like takes out everybody. And it was just like an amazing fight scene. It was like nice in slow motion. It was like a very well done movie. So at that point, he realizes that they're going to go after his sister. Now what his sister's doing, she also ended up leaving. So she waited for Sean, and it says this in the movie, she waited months for Sean to return, because they were supposed to meet back at the same place. And that didn't end up happening. So because Sean, like I said, ended up going to San Francisco, California. So she's waiting or whatever. And what she does, she ends up, she's also, I want to say she's 14 maybe as well. I'm not sure exactly the age difference. I don't know who's older and who's not. That's really irrelevant. But she opens up a place. It's called, I've got my notes here. It is called the Golden Daggers Club. Now this is a fighting thing, underground fighting thing. So that's where Sean ends up going, because he gets a letter, and he thinks it's from his sister. His sister's name is excuse my pronunciation on this, but Liko Wu, that's his sister's name. He thinks that she sent him a postcard saying that this is where she's at. So he's like, okay, well that's where I need to go, because they're after our medallions. So they did end up getting Sean's medallion in the beginning. And mind you that Sean is also, his real name is Shang-Chi. So that's kind of, he, like I said, he changed his name and everything like that, but his real name is Shang-Chi in the movie or whatever. So they go to the Golden Daggers Club, and while they're there, everyone is like saying, oh, you're the guy who beat up all those guys on the train cart or whatever. So they're like, you have to fight this person. And whenever you're watching the movie, you see this giant monster thing, and everyone's completely calm with it, like, oh, that's normal. But I think it's just for movie sakes that they did already see the Avengers and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? So this right here could have been after some of the Avenger movies, which we'll get into the last credit at the end. Have 2 special credits after the movie's over and everything like that, how they normally do it in the Marvel movies. So what happens is, while he's in there, he sees this giant monster thing, and it's fighting and this right here's a little Easter egg. He's fighting the guy who opens up the portal in Doctor Strange. I'm not sure what his name is. It could just be Wu. I'm not sure though. So he sees him, and Wu ends up opening the portal, and the big guy gets hit in the face with his own fist. So Sean's up there, and that's whenever he sees his sister. Now at this point, Sean's like, I'm not fighting my sister. Are you crazy? And what happened was at that point was he doesn't fight his sister, but his sister's very angry with him because he never came back like he said he was going to. So, like I said, she must probably had a lot of pent-up anger. So she started this giant underground fighting thing, and that's whenever the Ten Ring organization, they come after Sean, and they come after his sister as well. So while they're coming after both of them, Sean is just kicking butt, you know what I'm saying, throwing people off the ledges and everything like that, and then Katie almost dies, and then that's whenever his sister pulls her in, because they both ran off. This dude, some Chinese guy, ended up having like a giant chain. He was like the organization guy. He would organize the fights and stuff like that. So as we get to that point, that's whenever so at the top there's this pretty cool looking guy. He kind of has like a clown, it kind of looks like a clown mask, but he has like a little ponytail in the back, and he was the guy that actually trained Sean and trained his sister. So, and then his dad comes out, the Mandarin. He ends up coming out and ends up taking them back to the Ten Rings organization, and then he tells them his plan because he feels like he's hearing his wife's voice, but the reality of the fact is he's not hearing the wife's voice. He's hearing the Death Eater, or the Death Eater, which is the thing that is farther closer to the end of the movie, and it's like this giant monster, which is like crazy, but we'll get into that in 1 second here. So the Death Eaters are causing the dad to hear the voices, and the dad's like, hey, this is what's happening, and that's why he needed, like I said, the green medallions. He needed to put them in the eyes of the dragon, and why he was putting them in the eyes of the dragon, it gave him like a little path, right? So, and the dad's like, throw him into prison pretty much. So the dad throws Katie, he throws Sean, and he throws his sister into the prison, and they meet a guy named Trevor. So Trevor is an actual actor, and he ends up getting played by the Mandarin, but he has like this little headless dog with wings. So he has this headless dog with wings, and that is the mythical creature from the place called Talo, which is the place where his mom was born, and that's whenever Sean's dad, the Mandarin, ends up meeting Sean's mom. He meets her in Talo, and she's the only person that ever defeated him at that point. So, spoiler alert, obviously. So while they're in the prison or whatever, the sister ends up finding the same way that she escaped the underground tunnel. And while she's under the underground tunnel or whatever, they steal a nice BMW. They end up crashing through the little area or whatever, and they head towards Talo, which is guarded by these trees that come to life and stuff like that. You have to have like the perfect angle on where you need to go. Like you need directions to get there, and Sean's dad thought that it was only open at nighttime, but that just wasn't the case. So while they're driving into the place or whatever, Morris is telling Trevor, because I guess they can communicate, he's telling Trevor which way to go. So they finally get in there, and then they finally meet Sean's mom's ancestors, like all the people that she grew up with and all that stuff. And then that's whenever the battle is about to happen at that point. So Sean gets this dragon armor, and in the beginning, whenever I first seen the dragon armor, I was like, wow, that's really cool. But he puts it on, he only has the top of the dragon armor and no like pants or nothing, so he's just got like regular sweatpants on with the dragon armor. So I think they could have done a lot better with the dragon armor. And his sister's armor was, whatever. It's like a little silver dragon armor as well, and that's the only thing that can actually kill the Death Eaters was the dragon scales. So his mom ended up getting them dragon scales. So what happens is the Mandarin finally gets to this giant dragon scale tomb, and while he's at this giant dragon scale tomb, he starts punching it, bam, bam, he hears his wife's voice like, come help me, and these like creatures fly out of there, and then they are soul suckers, so they are soul sucking everyone around them, and then they're taking all the souls and they're bringing it to the big dog, right? And I believe the big dog is the Death Eater, you know, if I'm not mistaken. On my notes here I got it, so it should be correct. But so this Death Eater comes out, and then this other dragon, which is one underneath the water. So Shang gets thrown into the water, gets punched by his dad, thrown into the water. And then as he's in the water, he looks over to his right and he sees this giant dragon. Now it's like one of them dragons that you would see at I'm not sure what holiday it is, but in like China or in Japan, you see like this giant dragon. So this dragon comes up, and then the two dragons start fighting. Now this is a really cool scene because it's like the two dragons were fighting. Katie, she's shooting the crossbow with the dragon armor and the dragon bow and all that, and dragon arrows. So it's really cool like that. So she ends up pulling back, hits the dragon in his throat, or the Death Eater hits it in the throat. So while she does that, Sean, at this point, his dad already died. So his dad's dead, and Sean ended up getting the rings. So his dad's rings were blue, but whenever Sean got the rings, they ended up being orange. And that's what, you know, Sean ends up shooting the rings into the dragon. The dragon, you know, dies or whatever. And then closer to the end of the movie, what happened was, so they were sitting in the bar or whatever, drinking and having a good time, and they were telling their friends about what they had done, what they had seen. They're like, wow, you went from being a valet driver to experiencing dragons and shooting dragons in the neck and all this other crazy stuff. And then the same guy that was from Doctor Strange comes back. He opens up the portal and he says, you guys are going to come with me. And that's whenever the Easter egg comes. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's talking about the 9 realms. And he said that there's a beacon. So obviously it could be referring to the Eternals, because they are the ones who are up there in the 9 realms, if I'm not mistaken. So that kind of gave you like a little Easter egg right there. But overall, it is a great movie. I 100% recommend it. I think that anyone who's looking for, you know, a great Marvel movie, I think this is one of their better ones. It's not like just focused on like Iron Man or, you know, Captain America or Spider-Man, stuff like that. It's focused on a whole different view of Marvel, and I think it was a really good film. If you want to watch it, I definitely recommend it. I give it about, I don't know, I'd probably give it about a 4.5 out of 5. Honestly, it was a really good movie. Recommend it. Have a good day. Peace out.